125 years ago, transit workers recognized the importance of a strong union, and they organized to fight for fair pay, to fight for benefits, to fight for protection from the elements. Those workers faced stiff opposition. It wasn't easy, but they persevered, and it paid off. Today, we still face opposition, but our resolve remains, just as it was in the beginning. Our fight takes on many fronts. Chief among our concerns is safety for the men and women in transit, especially those who occupy the operator's workstation. From exposure to exhaust fumes, to windshield designs and mirrors that create blind spots, to assaults from passengers, drivers face risks that would be unacceptable in most occupations.
They're happening every day. I get up every day and I look at my emails and there's another assault on another operator somewhere in the U.S. or in Canada.
And assaults can turn deadly, as they did for drivers Jubal Frazier and Thomas Dunn in Winnipeg and Tampa.
Winnipeg police were called to the University of Manitoba campus just before 2 a.m. where a transit driver was found with stab wounds.
Chaos erupted on a Tampa City bus when a passenger stabbed the driver to death. It's unclear why McGriff stabbed the driver, identified by family as Thomas Dunn, who managed to pull safely to the side of the road before he passed away.
That's why we're fighting for bills in the U.S. Congress, H.R. 1139 and S. 436, the Transit Worker and Pedestrian Protection Act. They include funding for barriers to prevent assaults on drivers, as well as the reporting of these incidents.
We're trying to form the same type of legislation and to introduce it in Canada.
We're also demanding that our transit systems embrace a safety culture, especially in our garages. In Pennsylvania, we're working to pass the Jake Schwab Act, named after one of our Erie members who died after being forced to use the wrong tools in a workplace with lax safety culture. ATU is committed to keeping public services in public hands. We're fighting privatization efforts in municipalities lured by false promises of lower costs.
Mass transit's a service. It should be treated as a service, like police and fire services. It's for the public good.
Private operators often feel they are entitled to ignore our existing contracts and steal our pensions. Not only that, but they eliminate vacations and holidays while slashing health care and paying poverty-level wages.
Safety is going out of the window because they're bringing in these private contractors. It's all about profit now.
Recently we had brake issues and they were trying to save money and not replacing the brakes. Same with tires, they're running bald tires because that's profit they're making.
In Washington, D.C., Local 689 staged a successful 84-day strike against WMATA contractor Transdev that ended with agreement to bring the work back in-house. Campaigns in Toronto and several other cities have brought that message to policymakers and the public, slowing the creep of privatization. So, how does the ATU prepare for battle? It all starts with training, from local leaders to our rank-and-file members, whether it's contract bargaining, union administration, or mobilizing the public. And over 7,000 members have gained the knowledge they need by taking advantage of more than 50 different courses in all work categories, taught at the ATU's world-class training center in Silver Spring, Maryland, or on the road at locals across the U.S. and Canada. ATU was a leader in preparing our locals for the right-wing, anti-worker, corporate America attack on working Americans known as the Janus Decision, backed by the Koch brothers and other anti-union forces. In the summer of 2018, the U.S. Supreme Court ruled against the public sector labor movement. The High Court's 5 conservative justices overturned a 40-year legal precedent and eliminated fair share fees. Those who work for public transit agencies in the U.S. can now drop out of ATU. And here's the kicker: they still get some benefits without paying dues. Fortunately, ATU used this moment to rediscover its roots and strengthen our locals. Our brothers and sisters in Canada may be facing similar anti-union legislation to make Canada right to work. our Canadian locals are already preparing using lessons learned from U.S. locals. ATU has long fought for living wages, pensions, job security, and other benefits to ensure our members' quality of life in both the public and private sector, in fixed route, paratransit, subways, school bus, light rail, maintenance, mechanics, over the road, ferries, clerical, and municipal workers. One key ally in our fights has been our riders. We have built strong alliances with them to fight for more and better services and improved safety. In Canada, we're stronger than ever with ATU Canada leading the way. We've been pushing back against efforts to privatize our jobs with a successful Keep Transit Public campaign in Ontario. We've been fighting Premier Doug Ford's attempt to upload the nation's largest subway system in Toronto. We successfully fought a raid attempt of our Toronto local. In Winnipeg, we're fighting for better working conditions and safety for our riders. And our Canadian locals have mobilized to push lawmakers on Parliament Hill for a national transit strategy and dedicated operational funding. Most people take access to a restroom in the workplace for granted, but bus and train operators often complete long runs without reasonable access to toilet facilities. The fact is, the discomfort and stress of holding it in make it more difficult to operate a vehicle safely and effectively.
In Connecticut, we just did a contract. We have some first-time language that we put together that relieves an operator and gives them the opportunity to get a bathroom break without worrying about being punished or penalized.
It's no secret that ride-sharing companies have exploded in popularity and have had an enormous impact on the transportation industry. And that's prompted a lot of speculation about driverless buses and what they mean for transit workers. We are pushing for plans and policies to retrain our members so that they can perform new high-tech transit jobs that are already here, including the move to battery-operated buses.
This union is changing. We want to look at new generations coming in. We want to train more. We want to fight harder. And we want to get better contracts, not only for the members that we have, but also the members that we don't have.
So let us pledge for all to hear.
Together we fight!
Together we fight!
Ensemble, on se bat!
Juntos luchamos.
Together we fight!
Together we fight! Together we fight!